All right, good morning, guys. Happy Saturday. It's July 20th, 2024, and we got our weekend edition of the Pocket Change Market Report coming at you today. Great time to take a look and see how the overall market sentiment is for some of the errors and varieties and other key type coins that are currently being found out in the wild today. Now, a lot of the coins that you're going to see here are best found either going through change, bankrolls, things like that. Just you know, the easy kind of low hanging fruit opportunity is going to the bank and buying money at face value. It's like playing with house money. All right, it's one of the easiest ways of approaching this, and adding something impactful to your collection or reselling is two of the big reasons why you do it. All right, and another thing is coin shows are quite prevalent today. During the summer, we had a number of shows that were happening. Florida Fun, the summer show just wrapped up, I believe, or we're in the middle of that, I guess, this weekend. But that is the so far the biggest show right now going on, and then there's a bunch of other regional shows, a lot of smaller local shows that are all across the country. And again, the idea is here is you're going to be going through some coins, cherry picking, errors, varieties that otherwise a dealer may or may not care about, or they just completely miss in general. So there's this belief that coin dealers, they prefer not to deal with errors and varieties and things like that. It's just so hard for them as a coin shop entity to move that inventory, all right, for various reasons. Maybe they deal too much in precious metals and regular numismatic, type pieces, where they don't have the extra manpower to list things like this on eBay. All right, so this is where we come in, folks, as a collective, to recognize this, and then when we do, we can certainly cash in. To me, doing this on eBay is a great way to supplement my current income, and that's kind of like the overall kind of big picture that I think that you guys need to really ultimately see here. Right out of the gate, if you're just starting this, don't see it as a complete, I guess, career change. See it as something that's supplemental to what you're currently doing right now. So again, we don't talk about graded coins. That's always a must. Why grade the coins and spend all that extra money to do so when it may not necessarily enhance the value of those pieces? And all of the images you're going to see here today are 100% original to the seller's listings. We didn't juice or doctor anything to make them look better than what you're seeing on the listings. So with that being said, at the beginning of these videos, we do have our whatnot calendar of events notification. This is the platform that I sell on twice a week. We do shows on Tuesdays, which is we're referred to as kind of our budget blue collar type show, made for everyone. A lot of coins in that $1 to $5 range. I've been known to push some pretty unique rarities and other unique items on these particular shows. So if you're looking for something neat that you just don't see that often, it's a great way to add to your collection on a low budget, cheap level. Then the Tuesday show works out perfectly. And then Fridays we also have another show that typically revolves around U.S. type bullion, paper money currency as well. Is something that shows up quite a bit on Fridays, along with graded coins and all that. So that's more of like an all-purpose show. There's going to be some lower price items as well. So there are some budget type coins in there as well. So those two shows, Tuesdays and Fridays, and it's going to go on throughout the rest of the summer, unless something happens where I got to take one of these days off because of some event or vacation thing. All right, I'll let you know. If you're not joined up yet, aside from doing the whole eBay thing, you could certainly do that. Whatnot is one of the fastest growing platforms today for auction sales. If you join today using my referral link, and that's going to be pinned down below in both the comments section of this video, but also in the description box as well, you can get $15 off your first purchase. So that 1 ounce silver round, instead of it being $30, can be $15. The X-Men comic book. And by the way, this is good on every major collectible that's being sold on the platform every day. Comic books, sports cards, trading card games like Magic the Gathering and Pokemon, all on there. You know, $15 can best represent something you get for free. You just have to pay shipping. Or it could be also a pretty nice discount on something on the platform. So go ahead and check things out. Sign up, $15 on me on your first purchase. All right, let's go ahead and jump right in. These coins are certainly not going to talk um, about themselves. So you're going to see a few of the old reliables, is what I call it. You know, how are these doing today? Are they still selling? For what the market has commanded maybe 5 months, 6 months ago. Starting out with the 2023 Edith Kanaka Ole American Women Quarter. Now this one is best defined by two things: die chips and that amazing die clash that we normally see on the obverse of the coin, and that is exactly what we have here on this one. So you can see the letter H and T right in George Washington's ear right there, and then a few other remnants of Edith's name right there in the hairline. And this is the big one. This one, when it was first discovered, was $100 coin. You know, pretty routine. It was selling for at least that and then up. But now here we are, just over a year later since this was released, and about a year since this was first found. Are these still selling very well today? I'd like to say yes. You know, this one pretty well circulated, ended up selling for $26.86 with two bids. And again, the narrative doesn't change. This one coming in raw, ungraded. Just take a couple good pictures, a really relevant close-up like you see here. And, your listings shouldn't have any more than maybe at the most 5 photos. And that's kind of like the key, the good practice, the key to success when you're selling on this platform. Pretty good sale here. We have a 1977 Washington Quarter. Okay, don't let this one fool you. It's neat, but at the same time, a little bit of a beater. This is a Philadelphia struck coin. You can see that part of the nickel clad layer is missing on this one, but you'll also see a fair amount of damage around the rims on the obverse of the coin. The reverse looks a whole heck of a lot better than the obverse here as far as condition is concerned. Now, this is probably a previous clamshell lamination. That's where it splits on the edge. And based off of the bent up curled metal right on the edge of that, where that the copper and the nickel meet there, looks like that the clamshell lamination was pulled back and then torn off. All right, so it looks like it was helped along, which is very unfortunate, but it does happen. You know, curiosity gets the better of some people, and at the end of the day, this is what the purist error collectors call a damaged coin, but it doesn't mean it doesn't have a secondary market. This one, for example, sold extraordinarily well at $35.45. So if you do come across these and they're not completely detached and missing, I would say keep it on there. Take a great photo of the edge, and you're gonna have a coin that I'd say a lot more people are gonna be interested in owning, and they're gonna pay you about the same amount of money, if not more. So a little food for thought there on this one. Pretty neat one here, 1984p Jefferson nickel. The coin's in really nice shape. This one has 2 clips, and they're not tiny small clips either. They're a couple nice healthy sized rim clips there. This one sold for $28.45. The more clips, up to 3, I guess, that are found on these coins, just do add a 2 times multiplier to it. A single clip typically would sell for about $10-15. Double clips, about 2x that, and then triple clips are quite a bit more, and they're usually accompanied with some sort of other mint error, like a broadstrike or something like that. Another cool one here, 1960 Roosevelt dime. So this is kind of what a clamshell lamination looks like. It kind of sort of starts at the edge where the reading is. It's bent up, but not completely detached. Now, I would say it was helped along in a sense that this one was made to be more dramatic than what what it originally looked like. So the metal, the flake of lamination was helped along here to give it a much more dramatic look. Which at the end of the day, it's kind of okay as long as that piece of metal does not break or fall off. That would be bad news bear there. So this one here sold for $47.45. And considering that this one is 90% silver, that's actually quite neat. And I believe firmly that that also contributed to the very healthy sale price on this one. This one right here has no date, and I think we're okay with that. It's a Jefferson nickel. It's got like a ragged kind of edge right there between 3 and 6 o'clock. So what happened here? Well, this is another type of clip. They call this a ragged clip or an end of strip type of planchet punch out. So it's defective in nature, considering that it was the raw ragged end of the strip where the planchets are punched out of. So this particular one right here sold for $42.45. Again, a pretty neat coin. Very, very clean, nice, high grade specimen. But that doesn't mean that lower grade specimens won't sell for as much. And another thing, the seller did a really good job capturing the edge here where the ragged clip is. You could kind of see some of the granularity of the nickel composition here. And again, very cool. Nice sale on this one. And this is one that I personally own a few pieces of, and these are very commonly mistaken as being like a strike through, like struck through grease. But it's affected on both sides, and it's a 1970D, and this is usually the only date of wash and quarter where you could find this. This one right here is actually struck on dime thickness stock. All right, so the original strip that was created before the planchets were punched out of them was rolled thin to dime specifications. So a dime is quite a bit thinner than a wash and quarter, but they use wash and quarter punch dies or whatever they're called to punch out the planchets out of the dime stock. So you're going to have a planchet that is the size of a quarter as the overall, I guess, circumference goes, but it's going to be as thin as a dime. So with that being said, it's not going to do a full pressure on the strike. This one right here weighs 4.1 grams, which is a few grams lighter, okay, which helps kind of support the dime thickness stock deal here. $65.29. This one has seen some circulation, and it's also got like a few scratches and a pretty notable rim ding by the date there. Not the best looking example, but it is one that did sell for a nice healthy amount of money. If you do come across these, just understand it's a good hit. There's the coin on a scale weighing 4.1 grams. The next couple here, man, I totally missed on these. Based off of how much they sold for, this would have been a great buy for myself, considering I collect British coins. So we have a 53 halfpenny here, nice high grade BU red example, double struck. The secondary strike is struck about 65-70% off center. Just a really, really beautiful piece here. Very seldom do we see these, but at the same time, they don't sell for nearly as much as its U.S. counterpart does. So this one here, more than surprised that it managed $56.99 with 31 bids. More than likely, this was found in a either a BU roll or a mint bag of other 53 halfpennies. And because of that, there was also a second example that did sell by the same seller, same date, condition-wise, pretty similar. Pretty neat, nice, double struck. The obverse right there with two Queen Elizabeths. Quite striking, just amazing. This one right here sold for $60.99 with 12 bids, and I think it sold for a little bit more because of what that obverse, kind of like the double portrait right there. Pretty cool. A similar U.S. coin like a state quarter that's double struck like this would be worth $750 to $1,000. So again, there's a huge price disparity here. I think overall the general market for world coins has a lot of room to grow. And when we do recognize that, things are going to pick up as US type coins continue to drift upward in value and price, where it becomes less affordable for a lot of folks. And I mean, if you could find any mid error on a candy half dollar or Ike dollar, the much larger denomination coins, congratulations. These are amazing. 1990p candy half dollar. This one, you can make the argument it's either off center or broadstruck. They look very similar here. From the obverse, it looks like an uncentered broad strike because you do have a full rim right above Liberty there. Coin's in great shape. Surprisingly, some of these usually turn up counter wheel damage as an attempt to get these packed out in rolls goes horribly wrong. This one here sold for $67.11, this time with 4 total bids. Really pretty one here. If it wasn't for the fact that this one had a little minor mint error on it, I would say it's just a really pretty high-end Indian head cent. It's an 1864, and this one right here, even though it was not brought up by the seller, does have a routine cut die break on the reverse. So it's right there between 3 and 4 o'clock as the die cracks go, or the die crack goes through the wreath right there. There is, can't really tell if there's a lot of displacement. I do see a little displacement in that middle arrow there. There's a little bit of a shift. Nothing too crazy, but it is there. So this particular coin sold for $64.25. That's with 21 bids this time. A very attractive example, probably best suited for that Indian head cent collection or a type collection. And I actually like searching through 1928S's. Not an overly rare date in, just general circulated grades. But I don't know if you guys knew, but there are 2 different mint mark design types for 1928. There's a small, and then there's the more desirable large mint mark, which is actually a cherry picker's guide variety. So this one is the large mint mark variety of 1928S, and it's also an RPM. The secondary repunched mint mark is punched south of the primary. This is actually RPM 2, as designated by folks like Wexler and Dr. Wiles. This one here sold for $44.95, and even in this condition, with the RPM and the large S, it's worth every single penny that this one sold for. It took a little while, but we finally got to our first piece of paper money. We have a 1988 $10 bill. Misaligned print error on this one. I believe it's the second print, so that's the base black print with Hamilton's portrait is misaligned on the sheet. The overprint with the serial numbers and seals are all centered to the specs of this particular size note. When we look at the reverse, kind of off-center margins or design on this one. Nothing too crazy. This example ended up selling for $87.87 with 16 total bids. And one that we've seen quite a bit, 1964 Jefferson nickel, another broad struck error. So the collar had malfunction, which normally keeps the coin in place. Think of it as a metal donut, that moves up and down as the next planchet's being fed or ejected out of the striking chamber. That donut sleeve, the collar, moves up and down and retracts. So when it's malfunctioning, it's not working, and it's stuck in a down position, that really leaves things like this to happen. Off-center strikes, broad strikes, and that metal flow's going continuously outward. It's not stopping at the collar edge. This one right here sold for $21.99. Nothing too crazy. It's considered an uncentered broad strike, and it's not the biggest broad strike that I've personally seen on a nickel. This is a neat one here, and if you don't know what you're looking for, always look for coins that are pretty weakly struck like this. It could be one of two things. It could be a coin that is struck on a split plan, which we see quite a bit more of. We don't see too many of this type where this coin was struck on a incredibly rolled thin planchet, so at the end of the strip or at any one point area on the strip where it was rolled super thin. They'll still punch out the Lincoln cent size plans out of there before they go into the upsetting mill. But something like this, yeah, it's either one of two, and as long as we don't see the actual striations of a split planchet, more than likely it's going to be a roll thin planchet strike on this one. Looks like it's a 63D. There's just enough there to know what the last digit is. It weighs 1.81 grams, and it's sold for $60.74 with 9 bids. This is like a literal kind of hidden gem that you need to be on the lookout for. I've personally found about half a dozen of these over the years. Still have every single one in my collection until the day that I decide it's time to move on. I know what the commanding market is for things like this. And you guys better whip out your Pictured Rocks National Park quarters. You might be missing out on some incremental strike through errors like this one here. Pretty easy to see. It's in Washington's neck or side of neck area. So this one, they did refer to it as a field restricted strike through. So it involves the feeder finger, and probably the feeder finger made a little contact with that obverse die just through the regular usage as it being something that seats the quarter or the planchet into the striking chamber, and also does some work with the ejection. So with that movement of the feeder finger, sometimes they'll make a little bit of contact on that obverse die or reverse die. Let's see, this one here is sold for $33.75. Always a good reason to, maybe crack open that BU roll that's been sitting there, because the BU roll of this particular quarter is not worth a whole lot over face value. So you could pretty much indulge in the possibility that something crazy like this could exist, or a drop letter, or some other anomaly where a strike through does occur. One of my favorite varieties of the Lincoln Memorial cents, you guys need to be on the lookout for the 1960D Lincoln cents. There's a bevy of different Repunched mint marks, but this one is the biggest of them all. This is referred to as both the RPM FS501, but it is also the FS101 small O over large date variety. All right, you can actually see the small O over the large O, and then all the other numbers of the date as well, representing that pretty easily. But that zero right there is like one of the biggest markers for this one. $85 is what this one sold for. Coin's in great shape. I would say it's probably easily a mid-state 63, maybe even a 64 red. It wouldn't be a waste of time to send this to like Annex or NGC to get that numerical grade, because it'll most certainly double the value of the coin. And this one right here does have value, even a coin that looks as rough and rugged as this one here, a 97 Philly Lincoln Memorial cent. Pretty big variety. The FS101 doubled die obverse, referred to as the doubled ear. So you can see this one has the 2 earlobes right there. It's a great cherry picker's guide as well. Variety, $19.86 with 5 bids on this particular example. And talk about clips. Holy crap. We saw that Jefferson nickel, and I said, the more clips, the merrier. So this is 3 clips on this Lincoln cent. But if you guys look closely, it's also a broad strike as well. So it's a dual error, and that is absolutely freaking neat. I mean, where you can find something like this, right? It's not something that probably you'll find in pocket change. It's very unlikely that you'll find something like this in there. But how about some of those mid-sewn bags? You know, possibly a BU roll of sorts might have something lurking in there of this monstrosity. So I'm happy to say and report that this one brought a buttload of money home. $290.45 was the final sale price on this just wild looking beast. And one here that, quite honestly, this is a first for me. 2003A is somewhat relatively more modern date. Star Note dollar bill. I mean, it doesn't look like a whole lot. Now, I wanted to draw your attention to the fact that the top margin's a little bit fatter than the bottom. All right, that's that empty space between the design and the edge of paper. So check this out. The back is upside down. They call it an inverted back error. So the entire sheet was upside down um, prior to the print of the stuff that's on the front. All right. So normally the process of printing notes is they'll print the reverse first on all the sheets and then go and do the stuff on the front. So you notice that the top is fatter than the bottom, all right, which helps support that this is a legitimate inverted back and not, you know, just a weak attempt of just rotating the reverse image so that way it throws people off. Um, I was not at all surprised when this one ended up selling as a buy it now hit for $793.95. I mean, this is a huge note. It was found very early on because the thing has virtually no wear on it. It is crispy, uncirculated. So this one probably deserves to be in a graded holder. It would most certainly enhance the value, probably up to $2,500. Inverted backs are no joke. They are one of the power players of the error market of paper money. Neat one here. Newer note, 1999, non-colorized $20 bill. Yeah, we have another misaligned overprint on this one. You can see that especially the top left serial number, it's not supposed to be overlapping the base design of the front of the note. You can see the green seal is also off center. It's supposed to be right in the middle of that 20 there. So this one sold for $149.49 with 5 bids. All right, the newer notes with this kind of error, very desirable right now. 1972 Lincoln Memorial Cent, one of the big doubled die obverses to be on the lookout for. This is the FS 103, a great cherry picker's guide variety. This one has all amazing sorts of doubling on the motto "In God We Trust," on Liberty, as you can see here on these close-ups. The seller did a really good job, by the way, at doing kind of a collage compilation of all of these close-ups. They didn't put in a close-up of the date, which is unfortunate because there is doubling on there too. This one sold for $42.95, and it's a really nice BU red example. This 103 is, I guess, one of the more common ones, and one of the more inexpensive doubled dies. So you can get one that's as nice as this for that price. And our Indian head scent efforts of cherry picking should not go undetected. 1866 is a tougher date, but you got to look at all dates of Indian head scents. Check out that huge cut die break on the reverse there from 9 to 10 o'clock. That thing is massive. As kind of like a side point, this one is also a repunched date as well. The last 6 of the date is repunched. And yeah, what do we end up here on this one? $76.98. It's a coin that is pretty well worn with a few condition issues. 1867 Shield Nickel. Very, very, very seldom do we talk about this and the 2-cent Shield as well. This one is a really fantastic XF40-ish kind of grade here. You have a lot of the lines in the Shield very evident still on this one. When we look at the close-up of the date, check that out. A repunch date across, I think, at least 3 of the numbers in the date. 8, 6, and the 7. The 7 is just nuts. So this one here sold for $76.86. The coin itself as a type issue, probably worth about $50-$55. So there is some enhancement of value based off of the discovery of the Repunched date variety. Coins and cards, back at it again. 1891 Carson City Morgan Dollar. It's a really pretty one, but I'll say that this one is, no doubt about it, cleaned. You can see just a wide assortment of hairlines all throughout the obverse and reverse of the coin, but it's still a great date of Morgan Dollar. Carson City, yeah, you can't really balk at it too. So this one is the Spinning Eagle variety. You can see that little kind of like little die gouge coming out of the eagle's beak right there. Kind of interesting. This is a top van, by the way, but it's actually more rare to find a 91 Carson City Morgan Dollar without the spinning little anomaly coming out of the eagle's beak. This is actually very common, but very desired. But it is more rare to find one without it. So yeah, I wasn't sure if you guys knew that, but yeah, this one is known all across the community. You know, pretty good sale, $566. 67 cents, 18 bids. It's probably like an AU details with the cleaning on there. And the final piece of the weekend, how about this ragtag 35A $1 silver certificate? It looks unassuming from this first picture, other than the fact that it's got some rust spots, probably, you know, was attached to an old bill or invoice with a paper clip. You can see it there on the left-hand margin. But outside of that, when we flip it over, and that reveals a little bit more. There's actually a gutter fold in this one. This picture doesn't do this one justice. The next one, however, does. There you go. You can actually see the front of the note with that gutter kind of accordioned out, you know, stretched out there. Pretty cool, man. I like this. This could have gone undetected for years, and it did. A lot of people were spending this, you know, as a $1 bill. Yeah, and can't really hate on that. You know, it did pass through, I would imagine, hundreds, if not thousands, of people's hands. So this one here sold for $131.89 with 18 bids. The gutter happens when there's just really a wrinkle in the subject sheet, and then it's printed over. That's pretty easy to understand there. Okay, guys, the information provided today in this video is for educational purposes only. None of this is financial advice. Please do collect or grade your coins responsibly. Thank you all again for coming on by. It was a lot of fun. Hopefully this video gave you some inspiration to do some collecting and some hunting and gathering this weekend. There's a lot of shows happening this weekend. You know, I would love to hear your thoughts. Did you like any one of the coins more so than anything else today? And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to this video and the channel if you haven't done so already. Your extra endorsement certainly goes a long way for me to produce more, better quality content. But I am out, guys. I'm going to be doing exactly what you're doing. I'm going to be out hunting around for some nice banging varieties, errors, and other things. So I'm your host, Sean, with Blue Ridge. Have a great weekend, and best of luck in your hunts. I'll see you guys later.